Will go over a whole lot, and let me introduce the presenter of the presentation is Ken Leibowitz, who is also the NPCC coordinator, and he'll explain more about his role and his background in a second. Next slide, Ken. So just to go real quick over a little bit of housekeeping rules, we're going to go over the webinar procedure, and hopefully everybody's using your telephone mode, or if you're using your mic and speakers, everybody is muted right now. So please be respectful of others and mute your telephone and microphone until you would like to speak or ask a question. And the best way to do that is to raise your hand or ask a question on the right-hand side in that question box, and you can ask all kinds of questions, and I'll answer as Ken is presenting, and then we will go over all questions at the end. If anybody's having trouble, put it in your question mode, and we'll try to troubleshoot in the background. Next slide. And again, just to let you see the question and answer box, if you go in there, raise your hand. At the end, we'll unmute you and let you talk and ask your questions. And if you want to just type them in that box, then we'll answer the questions. This is going to be a very good presentation. It will give you everything you need to know about the competition, and as well as answer all your questions that I know you all have. So I'm going to turn it over to Ken, and we'll begin the presentation.
Well, hi, I'm Ken Leibowitz. I'm on the faculty at the University of the Sciences in Philadelphia, and I guess part of my role has been one of the co-developers of the National Patient Counseling Competition. So that's where I actually start by saying that we've really come a long way with the NPCC. We started, by the way, I'm in Philadelphia, so if you hear trolleys or sirens on fire or police cars, don't be shocked. It's just, that's what we do in Philadelphia. 1985, we started in San Antonio with the first NPCC. 50% of all schools in the U.S. were participating. By 1988, we had doubled the amount of participation in the NPCC. 2008, we had tripled it, and by 2012, we had quadrupled the number of schools participating. Just about every year, we do have about 98% of all schools participating in the competition. So I've got to say that you're in some really good company, and you'll have a lot of competition when you come out to San Francisco. All right, why are we here? And not just for the orientation, but the issue in my mind is, why do we do the NPCC? I co-developed the competition. Some of you might know the name Dave Brushwood. He was a pharmacy law professor here back in the day when I started teaching here. And he and I had talked about the competition. And one of the things he pointed out to me was, in law school, they have a moot court that gets law students very excited about trial law. And one of the things that we both thought about was to get pharmacy students much more energized and motivated to focus on and work on patient counseling would be to have a competition. And that's been one of the core principles of the competition since we started. The other one that you'll see on the screen is that we really wanted to provide an opportunity for students and faculty, students and chapter advisors to be able to come together and work on an activity. And I do know from years of experience at some schools, it's very normative that whoever wins the local competition will go seek out, a number of faculty or a dean even in some cases to try and talk about, the competition and try and get some tips or some advice. But it really provides that kind of baseline for people to come together and say, this is something as a school, and I'll just say it, I know this will sound hokey, but there is March Madness. For pharmacy, this is March Madness, where all the schools are coming together to compete. But we're also here for another reason, and this is irony to me. The whole competition came about because of what a pharmacist said to me in 1979. I was driving my wife home from having wisdom teeth out. I had a prescription for pain medication that I took into a local pharmacy in Philadelphia. And when I handed the prescription to the pharmacist, I said, just want to make sure there's no codeine in this because my wife's allergic to codeine. And he was very gruff. He just looked at me and said, if you had any questions, you should have asked your dentist, your oral surgeon. And I explained that I hadn't been there, that this was for my wife. And he just looked at me with a very disgusted look and said, son, I get paid for filling prescriptions. I don't get paid for answering questions. This was 1979. And in those days, the practice of pharmacy was a lot of lick, stick, count, and pour. And what we do is dispense, but we do not interact with patients. And I've just got to say, at a personal level, I just felt no patient should ever be treated like that. And when I came back and checked with a lot of my colleagues at PCP, they said that's not all that surprising that somebody would say that to you. And I just said, I want to do something to change that. And I know at like 27, 28, to say I want to try and do something to change a profession is a little grandiose, but to me it was the kernel of an idea that started this whole notion that if we have a competition, it will contribute to how the profession starts to see the whole idea of counseling as much more important. We're here because of people at APhA, ASP, people like Lynette, who spend countless hours making sure that the competition runs smoothly. And there's an awful lot of in the background work that has to get done so that when you arrive to participate in the competition, things look smooth. And that's our goal, to make the competition look like a well-oiled machine. What you won't see is all of the people from APhA and ASP who are working countless hours to make that happen. We're also here because some very good people at CVS Health believe in what we're doing and are supportive of patient counseling and provide us with the necessary resources to be able to actually run this type of competition. There's more reason that we're here for the competition. I don't know if it was a few days, weeks, or months ago, many of you saw a sign-up sheet for your school's competition. And you made a decision to put your name on for a particular time, and you showed up, and you won your school's competition. But I don't think at that moment any of you contemplated that at the end of March you'd be coming to San Francisco waiting to compete against roughly 130 other pharmacy students from throughout the United States. And I know, one of the questions I always ask students when I'm talking to them right before they're beginning to compete, and I always ask, why do you think you won the competition at your school? And I always get a majority of responses are, I was lucky. They asked me about the one drug I knew about. And I don't believe that for a minute. I believe that you're coming to the competition because of one very indisputable fact, is that you are very effective when it comes to counseling patients. And whether you've admitted to yourself or not, you do possess the knowledge and the skills and probably the passion for working with people that allows you to be an effective patient counselor. Now again, this is a tough competition, and I don't know who among you is going to turn out to be in the top 10, let alone the winner of the whole competition. But I say this from the bottom of my heart, that you should be proud of your accomplishment to get to the competition, because I know, at most schools, roughly 13 people compete. Some schools have 80 people. Some schools require a whole class. Some schools only have one person compete. But 13 is the average. And the bottom line is you're coming to San Francisco because you are good at this. Now, our kind of reality check over the years has been that we thought, oh, we can send out some information in advance, and when people come to the competition, they're ready and raring to compete. But what we found over the years was that people came to the competition with a whole bunch of questions. And that's why we really did start running this kind of orientation. And so the goals are real simple. We run this orientation session because we want to go over all of the rules and procedures, because in my mind, if you know what you're going to expect, what's going to happen when you get there, there's not that confusion or that level of worry. I also think more information does reduce stress, but I have to say this, having taught here for 38 years, almost by genetic predisposition, a lot of you are high achiever perfectionist types, and a lot of the stress that you're going to bring to bear on yourself comes from within you. And so we're going to try and have as many, I'll provide as much information, some behind the scenes information, some tips, some tricks, some suggestions, and still provide you an opportunity to ask as many questions as you want, with the sole goal of saying the more that you understand, the less stress, the less worry, the less anxiety you'll have when you do arrive to compete in San Francisco. So here we go. I'm very anal with this, so I'm going to go step by step by step what to expect. It's going to be at the Hilton San Francisco, Union Square. So if you're staying at another hotel, just go to the lobby of the Hilton and ask where the Union Square rooms 3 and 4 are. That's going to be the competition office, and we do ask that you show up about 10 minutes early. Again, from years of experience, I know some of you are going to be flying in. You're going to be in a tither when you get there. Want to make sure you understand these bullet points. 1, you don't need to register for the meeting before you arrive. You don't have to have a badge, any registration materials. Just show up at the competition office. My note about attire, and this is particularly referring to women who show up, you are going to be fitted with a wireless FM mic before you compete. So something needs to be, there's going to be a mic that will clip on maybe the top of your blouse or a lapel, but there is a box also as part of the wireless unit. And some people have shown up wearing a dress and they don't have a pocket. And you need a pocket or something because the box has to go somewhere. So if there's a belt or a pocket in your dress, that's okay. The issue about lab coats is in the preliminary round, we don't require you to have a lab coat. Most people do have a lab coat. Most people feel awkward if they don't have a lab coat, but we only require for the 10 finalists that you must have a lab coat. In years past, some people just, they forgot it at the last moment. There will be other students who will be very kind and will loan a coat to you. I can't promise it won't be an extra large, but you know that is possible. But I would encourage you to bring a lab coat with you. The last thing about step 1 is some students show up with an entourage. It might be 1 friend, it might be 5 friends. And there's this awkwardness, like, can they come into the competition office? And my answer is, yes, you can come in. If you know, it makes you feel comfortable while you're waiting to compete to have some friends around, by all means do that if you want to sit in the hallway with your friends. But the issue is you need to come to the competition office at least 10 minutes early. We ask you when you're waiting to compete to fill out, there's, I believe, 2 forms. One form is going to be where you're going to be staying in San Francisco, just in case we need to reach out and contact you. And the other is going to be a video release form because, and I'm sure you've seen on YouTube, you know, there is some promotional video that will be sent out, and nobody wants you to sue APhA after the fact because they didn't have permission. You're also going to be given a flash drive, and I'll explain that a little bit later. But you know, at the point when you start to fill out the forms, you'll make sure that the person that you're talking to in the competition office gives you that flash drive. Step 3, eventually I will come into the room or I'll be down the hall and yell out your name. I'll squirt you down to one of 3 separate filming rooms that we're running simultaneously. I'll probably also say bring your flash drive with you. I do believe we say you're not allowed to bring any materials into the room with you. The reality check here is that some of you have purses, some of you have expensive electronic equipment. You don't want to leave that necessarily, in the competition office, although everybody is trustworthy. You can bring that material with you. Here's the exception. Some of you will have done a lot of work in advance on the drugs, the 10 drug list. You're not allowed to use any of that material when you actually compete. So if you have that material with you, put it in your purse, put it somewhere where you won't have access to it during the actual competition. When you enter the room, I'll ask you to put it off to the side. You can collect it when you're done. But for those of you that really spend a lot of time making cheat sheets about all of the drugs, that's great for study purpose, but you can't use it in the actual competition. Step 4, when I bring you into the filming room, there's going to be a couple people there. One will be the patient. I'll introduce you to them by their actual name. Obviously, in the competition, they're going to have a different name. There's going to be curtains behind which will be a couple filming people. One of the filming people will come out. I'll introduce you to them, and I'd like you to hand your flash drive to them because they're going to need it to record your session. At that point, I'm going to ask you to select out of a basket a prescription. We'll have a whole bunch of them all folded up. At that point, I want you to open it up, read the information, and then share the name of the patient and the medication with the patient, at which point they're going to go away. The filming people will be behind the curtain, and I'm going to ask you to take a seat, and at that point, I'm going to go over the 3 stages of the competition. Stage 1 is when you will have 5 minutes to conduct your research on your drug. Couple things. You're going to be seated at a table with a lot of drug products. Only one of them will be yours. So don't get confused when you see 15 or 20 different drugs sitting there. It's predominantly to set the stage behind you. During the time that you're doing your research, you'll have paper and pens available for you to take notes while you're doing your research. In addition, we will also have a blue binder on the table. In it, there will be patient profiles. We attempt to keep them alphabetized, but there will be a patient profile that corresponds to the name on the prescription as well as a name on the drug product. During the time that you're doing your research, you're going to have access to all 3 of these drug references. I'm hoping you're already familiar with at least one or more of these. Here's one issue that I just don't want to see happen. You only have 5 minutes to do your research. If you're not familiar with how one of these references is organized, you're going to waste time just looking up your drug. So please, once you get the list of 10 drugs, try to find 1 or 2 of these and start looking up the drug information in those particular references, so there's not going to be any lag time as you're doing your 5 minutes of research. The filming guys will keep track of your time as you're doing your 5 minutes of research. They will yell out when you've got 1 minute to go, and if need be, they'll say to you, please stop, research is now done. That ends stage 1. Now you move to a middle stage, stage 2, where you'll have an opportunity to set your materials out on the table. And I do want to show you, it'll be a little hard to see with these pictures. The person on the left picture is a minimalist. They've got the drug product, they've got their notes, they've got the prescription, and that's it. On the right, you'll see the maximalist. They've got everything at their disposal. And both are totally acceptable, viable ways to deal with it. It's going to be up to you what you want to leave out on the table for when you start to counsel. In addition to laying out materials during the setup, you'll have an opportunity to position the chairs in a way that you find personally most conducive to your style of counseling. The video guys will work with you. We do like to be able to position the chairs in a way so it's not a 90-degree profile to the camera, because what we have found, the judges actually get some information from watching facial reactions during the counseling session. So they'll ask you, how do you want to have the chairs, and then they'll tilt them in a way that works for a better picture. I know this is probably seems silly to the majority of you, but you'll notice that both of these pharmacists are on the right. I do have some students who come in and say, but I need to be on the left because that's a better profile of me. It is fine with us if you want to be on the left. Just during the setup, make sure you let the video person know that you're not going to be on the right side, that you prefer to be on the left side. The last thing that'll happen during the setup phase, and I want to make sure you understand, it's not timed. This is like a middle phase. I don't want you to take an abundance of time, but you'll have enough time to lay things out, position the chairs. The last thing that happens now is the video folks will help you on with your microphone, explain that they're going to do an identification on camera. So typically what they do is a countdown. They'll say 3, 2, 1, action, and you're going to look right into our hidden camera and say, hi, my name is, and I am from, and at that point you state your school affiliation. At that moment, the video guys press the pause button, and what I'll ask each of you to do is press your mental pause button. Do this. Take your deep cleansing breath. Double check that everything is out on the table before you and readily accessible. You might realize at this moment you forgot to get the drug product, that it's still sitting back where you did your research. You might realize that there's something that's not where you want it to be. But this is your last moment before the counseling begins to double check that everything is ready and available. When you're ready to begin, you're going to actually stand up, and the person who's going to play the patient will stand up. There'll be marks on the floor, so you're going to see that you're going to be facing each other. And once more, the video person will do a countdown, 3, 2, 1, action. And the 5 minutes of counseling will begin when a patient approaches you and utters this beginning line. Hi, I'm here to pick up a prescription. Now the 5 minutes of counseling begins. I want to be as clear as possible. You can say and do whatever you find personally the most effective means to counsel this person. I do know at some schools for the local competition, they don't allow you to have any notes on the table. I do know at some of the local schools they have some very strict guidelines of what you can and cannot say. We don't. We like you to think about this as your pharmacy. You are the pharmacist. You say and do what you feel is most appropriate. Now, to give you some, suggestions about the counseling session, let me just pop to the next slide. First, I want to make it clear, when you get the list of 10 drugs in advance, you don't need to know everything, but you'll see from the judge's evaluation rubric, there are 8 things that you need to know about each of the drugs, so that if you happen to pull that drug, you are going to be totally foursquare, knowing everything that you need to focus on to be able to meet those criteria. People that have won in the past, they have shown up, they have all these little stickies and little other kind of highlighting on all of the drugs. I do not recommend just showing up and then doing your initial research on those drugs or on the drug that you select when you're doing your research. I think that 5 minutes doing your research should be spent reinforcing what you already know, putting down in your notes the information that you think is most important, the order of information, almost in outline form, what you're going to say first, second, third, fourth, and so on. Second thing that I highlight is you're going to be in a room with movie lights, with a camera. You're going to be very self-conscious of the fact you're being videotaped. Just focus on the patient. Narrow your whole world view that I'm dealing with one person for 5 minutes. That is the most important person right now, and I don't care about anything else that's happening in this room. Third, do not assume that the person who comes up to you and says, I'm here to pick up a prescription, is necessarily the patient. You need to establish who the person is you're talking to, and if they have some relationship to the patient, you need to identify that, but don't make the assumption they're the patient. As I indicated during your research phase, you're going to have access to the patient profile. Do not spend an inordinate amount of time. You have to review the profile, but one thing I've observed in a number of sessions that people spend just too much time verifying all that information, and they don't have enough time left over to actually counsel the patient. When I say you can provide written information as well as oral counseling, I mean if you have a sheet of information that you've written out, and at the end of your counseling session you hand this to the patient and explain, I'd like to provide you with this written information so you can take a look at it when you go home. The patient is not going to say to you, why you handed me this scribbled on piece of paper. They will accept it as part of this role play simulation. Same if you hand out to the patient at the very end a small piece of paper with some scribbles on it, and you say to them, this is my card. Here, if you have any questions, please feel free to call me. They're not going to question why you're handing them a little ripped off piece of paper. Number 6, I want to make it clear, you can show the drug product. Please do not ask the patient to demonstrate or use the drug product before they leave. They will not do that. A number of these products will get used multiple times. In years past, when we've had, a lotion, we've had eye drops, we've had ears, people are starting to squeeze these things, and by the 3rd, 4th, 5th participant, there's no product left. And so we just made, no, show it, but don't ask the person to use it or demonstrate it. Finally, number 7, on the table where you're doing your counseling, there will be a digital clock that will start at 5 minutes and count down to 0. On the top of the clock, there'll be 3 lamps. A green lamp, a yellow lamp, and a red lamp. The lamp stays green for the first 4 minutes. When there's 1 minute to go, it switches over to yellow. The digital clock will read 60 seconds, and you're going to hear the video guy tapping a pen or some other object on a metal pole. A number of the people in the past have gotten so focused on the patient, they're not really watching the clock, or they don't see the lamp change from green to yellow. But most definitely, if you hear the video technician tapping the pole, you have to make sure that there are some techniques, some messaging that you want to use to end the session. Don't just continue maybe with an extra side effect or one other piece of information about storage recommendation. Move to whatever you particularly choose to do as a way of concluding a counseling session. So I know sometimes it's a little bit hard because you're so focused, but one way or the other, through the clock, through the lamps, or the tapping, just be aware of how much time you have left. I'll just say this is a very fast 5 minutes. Time goes by very quickly, so it really helps when you're doing your research to make some sort of outline form so you know where and what you want to accomplish at particular points. One last thing that I just always point out, you might have a temptation to start writing some notes on the patient profile or writing on the prescription. Don't do that. It causes us to slow down, get rid of the profile, get rid of the prescription. We have to find substitutions. And so I do ask you in advance, if you want to take some notes, write something down on your own piece of paper. Please don't write on our prescription or our patient profile. All right, back to these steps. Step 6 is when you're done with your counseling session, I'd like you to wait around for about a minute because the video people are going to check your video to make sure there's no glitches in it. And while you're waiting, I do ask that you return the room to its original state. So, put the patient profile back in the blue binder, put any reference materials back, your drug product back, reposition the chairs, and any notes that you take while you're doing your research, I do ask that you throw away in a trash can before you leave the room. Finally, you're going to get your flash drive back and you're going to take it with you. So let me explain the flash drive. The issue goes like this. Almost from the very beginning of the competition, we had many students who talked to us and said, could I please get some of the judges to give me feedback about my performance? And what we realized probably after the first year was it was just not possible to do that. There were too many of you, there were too few judges. I'll be honest, after the preliminary round judging, I believe it's 5 or 6 judges will have spent, well, it's 5 minutes per person times 130, 135. They're pretty tired. They're not really there to give you feedback. So what we thought was a second best solution is take the flash drive with your counseling performance on it back to your school and find that trusted professor. Ask him or her if they'd watch it and go over it with you and give you some feedback to help you improve. It's not the same as getting one of the original judges, but if you get the feedback from somebody you do respect and you trust, it can be a very useful way of helping you to improve how you counsel patients. Step 7 is when you're done in the room, you've got your flash drive, I ask that you walk back down the hall to the original competition office. I will sometimes be out in the hallway waiting. Other times I might be in one of the second or third filming rooms, so I can't promise that I will be there to greet you. But I ask that you go to the competition office. There's a survey that we will ask that you fill out, and there's a departing contestant gift that will be waiting for you. At that point, you are free to go, and you will enjoy San Francisco once you're done participating. Step 8, the listing of the 10 finalists is going to be posted 2 places, outside the competition office, right in the Hilton, and also electronically around 6 p.m. on Saturday. I can't say it'll be right at 6. The judges will work very hard to achieve that. Sometimes it might go to 6:15 or 6:20, but you will be able to find it one way or the other, and that will alert you if you are going to be one of the 10 finalists that will come back the next morning to participate in the final round. And one more thing. Please don't forget this. This is a competition. What you learn personally as a participant, particularly if you're one of the people that's going on Friday, could be extremely helpful to another participant who's going on Saturday. Now, I fully understand, and I'm a supporter of collaborative learning, cooperative learning. This is a competition. So if you share with people things that the patient said or ways the patient acted, information about what you learned as a result of participating, that will indeed help somebody who's going at a later time. And that hurts your chances. So what I do ask is that you don't talk to anybody about what you experienced as a participant until 6 p.m. when the 10 finalists are posted. At that point, tell everybody. At that point, if you want to upload your video so all of your relatives can see it, that's great. But please don't do any of that until the finalists are announced, because we don't want people to have an unfair advantage simply because they went later and earlier participants spoke to them. All right. What is effective patient counseling? I am a teacher. I will say this to every student I ever encounter. If you have an assignment, get the rubric. If you have an assignment, know how you're going to be assessed. This to me is something, along with the list of the 10 drugs, you should burn into your brain so you know what to expect. The judges are going to be assessing you in these 4 areas. with these specific points. And I'll touch upon some of the specific points in just a moment. But the bottom line, for counseling points, there are 10 items. Each item is potentially worth 2 points. If you do it, you get 2 points. If you do not do it, you get 0 points. So to me, as somebody advising participants, these points the judges are looking for are, and just make sure, whether it is in your notes that you've completed during your research or just mentally, that I have to make sure I cover each of these 10 points. There are going to be 6 counseling session professional competence issues. These are rated on a 5-point scale. I'll look at some of these that are more important to make sure you do stress the communication techniques. And finally, this overall evaluation. It's what I call a gestalt. It's this overarching general impression of you, and that is going to be worth 15 points. So when it comes to professional competence counseling points, you must identify yourself as the pharmacist who filled the prescription. Some people feel uncomfortable to say, I'm the student pharmacist who filled it. I would just advise you, you are allowed for the competition to say, I am the pharmacist, but identify yourself when you start the session. You must make sure you identify who the patient or the patient's agent is. Again, don't just bypass that and go right into counseling them. 3 through 10 are what I said earlier, should be the primary issues about each medication on that 10 drug list that you'll receive. You can know additional information if you so choose, but the judges are going to be looking for some specific overt mention of 3 through 10, and you have to, and again, some of these you might be saying, I'm being rushed, storage recommendations are not as important as some other issues. That's 2 points. Potentially you will lose in the judging process because you forgot to mention something about where to store your medication. So again, it takes a little time, but if you make it free and you provide these 7 items of information on the side of the grid, just make sure that you come prepared to talk about each of these 7 items. Next, professional competence, the counseling session. I don't think anybody will have any problem explaining briefly why you're doing the counseling. As I said earlier, make appropriate use of the patient profile, but not too much time. Please understand, we actually use simulated patients from a local med school wherever we do the competition. They are good at it. They do not necessarily memorize their phone number and home address. Some do, some don't. What makes it easier is if you have the profile in front of them, you can point to their address or their phone number and say, is this still accurate? Is this up to date? It saves time, and it doesn't force them to try and fake the fact that they really don't remember their address or their phone number. It's just a way of being a little more efficient when you're going through the profile. Using open-ended questions throughout the counseling session will be no problem for those of you that have been trained either using the Indian Health Service model or Pfizer's patient counseling, pharmacist patient consultation program counseling method. What did the doctor tell you the medication is for? How the doctor tell you? Those are the open-ended questions. I think if you ask several of those, you will demonstrate effectiveness. Please appreciate the fact that once in a while you will undoubtedly ask some close-ended questions. Are you taking any vitamins? Have you stopped taking this medication? That doesn't invalidate your effectiveness with item 14, because if you do ask the other major open-ended questions, you will still demonstrate knowledge that you need to do this during the session. Item 15 verifies patient understanding via feedback. Again, with the Pfizer system or the Indian Health Service system, when you say something like, just to make sure I didn't leave anything out, could you please tell me how you're going to use this medication when you go home? that would provide some evidence. Other people do or have learned a teach-back method that would be equitable in this regard to demonstrating that you need to verify that the patient has some level of understanding before they leave. And finally, for item 16, this might be the time, not only do you emphasize a few key points, but if you realize you left out a key point or two earlier, then you need to raise it at this point. Again, it's maybe you forgot to mention something about a refill. Here's a point where you can reiterate that issue. Providing closure and opportunity to follow up, it's going to be up to you how much time you want to spend on this. I will say 5 minutes goes by quickly. If you get done early, some students look at me and say, I probably blew it because I was done in 4.5 minutes. Not necessarily. If you dealt with all of the issues, getting done early is not a problem. Getting done too late, if the video guy yells at you at 5 minutes, cut, and you haven't done any final closure or opportunity to follow up, then you will lose points in this area. For the communication ability, a lot of these are pretty straightforward. I don't think you're going to discuss side effects before you discuss the name of the medication. I don't think you're going to provide woefully inadequate or inaccurate information. But 19 says to me, please appreciate you're not in a therapeutics case study lab. You need to speak as would be appropriate to a lay person so they can comprehend. Some of you will be quick and you will be able to find and figure out analogies or some comparison contrast, but you need to make sure that you don't use technical language without providing the translation that an average patient would comprehend. Displays effective nonverbal behavior. My perception is this is an undervalued but very important attribute. You're talking to somebody, and if you don't look at them, you talk to somebody, and if you don't have a tone of voice that displays any level of compassion, then I think for most judges that would not be an effective use of nonverbal behavior. And there have been even a few weird ones where we've had some students just stand the whole time. So spatially, it just looked very unusual. They never sat down with the patient to do the counseling. Uses understanding and empathetic responses, I think is crucial depending on context. I think it was 2 years ago in the final round. Patient was depressed. When asked why she seemed so sad, she was an actress, and she cried on cue. She said, my mother just died, and it's just been very hard. And some of our students just said, Now, let me tell you about some of the side effects of this medication. I will just suggest that's not the most empathetic way to respond to a patient who's just shared that they've dealt with a loss in their family. Number 23 is usually not that much of an issue in the preliminary round because patients are a little more nice. But in the final round, patients will either speak very loud, or they'll speak a lot, or they'll throw some curveballs at you that will challenge your ability to be both listening, empathetic, and caring, but you will have to get back control of the counseling session to ensure that you're able to complete counseling within the available time. Finally, there is this more general subjective rating of the participant on the overall. So for this one, the judges, I think it's 15 points, the judges are looking at everything and they're formulating an overall impression. So let me just share with you one of our participants. I don't know at this point if it was 3 or 5 years ago. He was excellent. He was excellent on so many of these criteria, but he had one, as a communication person, I call it a disfluency or vocal interference. He had one verbal tick. What he would say after almost any comment the patient said, he would interject, awesome. So if he said to the patient, are you still taking this medication? The patient said, yes, but I'm going to stop it when I start this new medication. Awesome! Every single time, awesome came out. And the impact on the judges was very profound. They felt that this was not a very professional way of responding to patients, and that it really had a very significant impact on his overall performance score. So while the judges are human, they're going to formulate an overall impression. Sometimes a specific area of a negative behavior can really have a very profound impact on this rating. So you need to be able to think about yourself very holistically. I'm almost done. I am almost done. When we run the National Patient Counseling Competition, we strive to make it a very well-oiled, smoothly running clock machine. Every one of you is going to come in on time. Everybody is going to do their job. Everybody's professional, committed to doing the best possible job. All right. Having said that, I'm hoping everybody who's listening knows Murphy's Law. If it can go wrong, it will. So, like I said, the people that set everything up for you to get there, everything's done with perfection. The video people, they'll be trained. We have vetted the scripts. Everything is ready to go. However, having run the competition, this will be the 33rd year, here are just a few of what I call gremlins that creep into the competition that say it doesn't always happen that it's a well-oiled, smoothly running machine. All right, so one year during the middle of the competition, there was a hotel fire alarm. It went off. Everybody had to be evacuated. I will guarantee that would rattle many of you if you were in the middle of counseling somebody. Another year, the movie light exploded in the middle of the counseling session. The person said to me, it sounded like a shotgun blast. That might rattle some of you. Another year, in the middle of counseling, it was just a very good intentioned hotel employee walking in to see if they needed more water. But again, it shook the students' concentration and made it very hard to get back in the right mode to continue the counseling. Oh, and this happened more than once. When they go 3, 2, 1, action, they're supposed to press the record button. But at least the one that I'm recalling, I think it was about 3 minutes in, that they just said, oh, I'm sorry, we're going to have to start all over again. And that rattled the student. When we still were using, I don't know if you guys remember VHS video, but we actually were using a mini video cassette. The silly labels that we put on them were too thick, and each of the video cassettes got stuck in the machine, and it really slowed down the judging process. Another year, we were in Anaheim. This goes back a long time ago. There was an earthquake, not big, but slight enough, so the patient was very rattled, and the video people were rattled, and I was rattled. That was the only year the student counseling the patient just continued on as if nothing was happening. So even that caused a slight problem because the patient kept trying to get up to leave. We had multiple years with VHS video where the cassettes were bad and the person had to be re-recorded because nobody noticed that the tape wasn't spooling across as they were doing their counseling. Some of the patients, and I guess this is more in the afternoon, particularly on Saturday, the one I'm thinking of, the student pharmacist said, and sir, you are, and the guy looked at her and said, I really don't remember who I am right now. And that caused the student to get very uncomfortable and not just progress with the counseling session. A little bit more, mic batteries going bad. So the judges will come running out and say, we don't have any audio, say, for the student. So we really have trouble hearing what they're saying. And my favorite was when we were in Nashville, the wireless mics were on the same frequency as CB truckers. It's not usual that I'll hear the judges really laughing uproariously. So I went into the judge. They said, here, let us play it back. And the student was saying something to the effect, and you'll need to take this medication 3 times a day, and then the CB trucker frequency bled in, and at that point it was, you need to take this 3 times a day, Foxy Mama. And that caused us to realize we needed to make some changes. So here's the thing. When you take all of these together, or any one of these, they cause a glitch, a gremlin, that leads to, wait for it, falling behind our filming schedule. Again, I think for those of you that are scheduled early in the morning, you're going to be safe from us falling behind. But here is what I need to say. If any of you experience one of these gremlins during your filming, I do not want you to be passive, walk out of the session silently, fuming, go back and tell your dean or somebody else how unfair we were. That's not our purpose. Personally, I want every student who participates to feel they were treated equitably and fairly. So if in fact there is a significant problem during your counseling, I want you or have the patient come out and find me, and we'll make a quick determination. Do you need to start again? You know, you'll get the same patient, the same prescription, you'll have another 5 minutes to do your research, but the issue is I want to make sure if any gremlin happens that in fact we rectify it before you leave. So on behalf of myself, APhA, CVS, everybody, I apologize in advance if any of these happen, but we will make sure, we'll do our darndest to ensure that you had a fair chance to demonstrate what you're most capable of doing as a patient educator. So I gave some thought to this last year. What does it really take to win the patient counseling competition? And I reviewed all sorts of health belief models and theoretical theories, material and communication on competence, and what I really came down to was this repeated memory, not of any theoretical book or article, but of an old movie that I saw. That to me, ultimately, when I think about the winners of past patient counseling competitions, they were like the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Lion, because they all were able to demonstrate those 3 attributes you see in front of you. Like Scarecrow, you have to be competent. You have to know, I can't stress that enough, you have to know about these medications. You have to know about a structure and method for counseling patients. It can't be something where you're spending a lot of time thinking about it. You have to be competent and knowledgeable. Like a Tin Man who had a heart, you've got to have a degree of compassion. I'll just say I've seen some students who seem superbly qualified and knowledgeable about medications, but through their behavior, both verbal and nonverbal, they really don't seem to possess the capacity to really demonstrate a level of empathy and caring, concern, and compassion for a patient. And finally, the issue with the Lion, courage, confidence. I've got to say this. Is this tough? It is. You're representing your school. You're being videotaped. And as I said earlier, many of you are perfectionists. You're going to put tremendous pressure on yourself. To me, practice before you coming to the session, even being videotaped, before the session, you develop confidence over time. Now, I'll just do my teacherly recommendation. If any of you have maybe a spare 15 minutes and you go to YouTube, you can look up a Dr. Amy Cuddy, C-U-D-D-Y, who's professor at Harvard Business School. She does work with students who don't necessarily demonstrate a lot of confidence in classes that require a high degree of participation for grading purposes. And the one line she espouses in her video that I highly recommend is, even if you're not confident, fake it until you make it. Know in advance what you have to demonstrate that would at least portray to the judges you're confident and fake it. If you keep doing that enough, eventually you will develop the level of confidence. I leave with this thought. You know, as I said earlier, a number of people say, oh, why did I get here because of luck? I think you make your own luck. You have the opportunity to prepare. You will have the opportunity to participate. And if you do prepare sufficiently and you take advantage of the opportunity you'll have as a patient educator at the competition, I guarantee you will make your own luck at the competition. So Lynette, I'm going to turn this back over to you. You're still there, Lynette, right? I'm hoping somebody's there.
I'm here. I'm
here. Good.
I'm
I
here.
thought I was alone in my office
muted.
talking.
No. I was muted. So right now we're going to our questions, and I've received a whole bunch of questions. So first I'm going to actually answer a lot of the questions out of the chat that people may not have seen or seen the answers. So the first one we have is, what can we bring to the table? I'm confused, because in the beginning I thought you said we can't bring any notes or anything in the room, but then you said we can. Please clarify. And what I wrote back to Ashley is, you can bring your purse, bag, etc. into the room, but you cannot use any notes or anything that has been pre-written. During your 5-minute research phase, you can write notes on the drug you choose and use those notes during the counseling session. If you want to reiterate any more, you can.
Yeah, it's again, those of you that prepare in advance, I call them cheat sheets. You'll have your drug information sheets prepared in advance. You can't use those when counseling. So if you did it, you brought them with you to the competition office, put them in your purse, put them in a bag, but when you walk into the room, you're going to have to put it against the wall, and you'll have to take new research notes during your 5 minutes that you're conducting your own research. But I'm seeing one about, do we have to bring our own pen and paper? I do know from every year we have more than enough pens and more than enough paper. Don't worry about that.
Yes, we will definitely in each filming room have a pad, some pens, and then we refresh the pads if they run out. So
yep.
You don't have to worry about bringing that. If you have your lucky pen you want to use, that's fine. Or if you have anything like that, for sure. The drug list, the rules and regulations and all that stuff, I received a couple of questions about when will you receive the top 10 drug list. So I'm working on getting that out. In the email, when you confirmed your appointment time, it said during the week of the 27th, so I'm still on time, and I'm hoping to get it out on Monday at the latest. But during that week of next week, I will send you an email. It will confirm your appointment time. It will give you all the rules and regulations, the drug list, the procedures, everything you need to know about the competition, where you need to be, the location, everything will be in that email. So just be on the lookout for it. And I try to be fair and give it to everybody at the same time. And I'm still, a couple of schools are finishing up their competition, and I'm trying to get their person scheduled. So that's why I give this week as a kind of to get these last scheduling people in, and then I will send it all out next week. A lot of people ask, will these slides and this presentation be available? Within this week, hopefully in the next 2 days, this is being recorded, so I will make it into a YouTube video, and then I will put it on pharmacist.com under the NPCC page. So if you want to look at it or re-reference it, feel free once it's up, and I'll try to do it before I send out the information, and then I can include that in the email also for those that missed the webinar. Do keep in mind that we do have an on-site webinar still on Thursday, the 23rd, in San Francisco, and everybody is welcome to come to that and attend that orientation. The good thing about that, you'll kind of have the same information given to you in person. You get the network, which we know students, pharmacists love the network. And then once you network, you also get a chance to see the actual filming room beforehand. So we'll take you in there, we'll turn the lights on, let you actually look at the filming room, see a couple of the old profiles, and I'll put an old book in there so you can look at that, and see how we have it all set up so you can get a feel for the room. We will also have the drug information handbook on it, as well as the drug factor comparisons will be there, so you can see that and kind of get used to that reference material. Next question I see, I'm going through them. Somebody asked about different levels of competitors. Can our first-year students competing against first years, or are they competing against fourth years? And my answer, quick and dirty answer, was there's no level of competitors. Everybody competes against each other. So all 137 schools that we have representation from will compete against each other, and then the top 10 is taken out of that. It doesn't matter. This competition is made for anybody in their first year to second year to third year. It's not about what year you're in pharmacy school. It's exactly how you answer, how you hit those things on the evaluation form and do exactly what's needed from the evaluation form. Can you want to elaborate a little bit more on that?
All right, and here's my motivational pitch to P1s. We have had P1s win the competition. I don't know if it's in fact, they feel a better or greater affinity to patients, that they spent more time researching the drugs. I would say typically P2s, P3s, whatever, upper level students do win, but there have been more than one top 10 finalist and then definitely winner who was a P1 student. So if you are a P1, work hard, prepare in advance, and then you can start to make up some of the ground of the difference of experience that P2s, 3s, and 4s are going to have.
All right. So our next question I see on here is, are only the top 10 people announced, and will we know how we place if we are outside of the top 10? Only the top 10 will be placed, and after the top 10 is taken, everybody else is just in alphabetical order. I do not tell you, if you come to me and ask me, hey, what was my score, I will not give that to you, because we don't want people to be discouraged. So we take the top 10, and then everybody else is in alphabetical. And I will not give you your score based on out of 134, because there's always going to be somebody that's the top, and then there's always going to be somebody that's the bottom. And I just feel it's unfair to tell people that. So I will not give that information out. Next question is, how will tiebreakers for the final 10 be handled if some people have the same scores? So what we do is we have an overall, that overall score is kind of our tiebreaker. So we only kind of add up the first beginning part and the middle part, and then that overall evaluation is kept as a tiebreaker with who has the highest. What information will be included in the patient profile? Ken, you want to talk about that a little bit?
It's going to be the name, the address, the telephone number, if there are any known allergies, if there are prior medications, that would be on there. But that's what's most typically on there.
It's a basic profile.
Date of birth also, yeah.
Yeah. Next question, how will be given the top 10 drug list, and what will be included on the list? It's just a list of 10 drugs, and it says 2017 NPCC drug list, and then you do your own research for it. And we do give you the generic name, and it gives you both names, I believe,
yes,
for the product. Next question is, what will be the objective of the on-site orientation? And I kind of explained that, and it will not be recorded because that's an opportunity for you to network, meet with other people, and then see the room. So we started doing this webinar orientation beginning last year as a way for those students that can't make it on Thursday. We used to have 2 orientations, Thursday and Friday, but we feel with the amount of attendance that we had 81 people on this webinar. Those that don't attend this webinar can then attend the on-site one and get kind of the same information, but also get an advantage to see the room and stuff. So that is the objective of the on-site, and definitely the networking, because you'll meet people from other schools. You'll get to meet student pharmacists at annual. That is your opportunity to network and just meet people, and this is a more close-knit way for you to meet just those people that's competing in this competition. And next one, have you sent out the list? No, I have not. It will go out next week. So everybody, again, you will get your top 10 drug list along with everything about the competition next week. Will the prescriptions be provided typed or in the doctor's script? It will be typed.
It will be typed.
We won't do that to you. So when will we be given the top 10 drug list? Same thing next week. Will this be the same information presented at the orientation on Thursday night, or should we attend the session for additional information? The only additional information, again, is the networking and then able to see the film room. A lot of students have said that seeing that film room kind of with the lights and all helps with their fears for being recorded, but you get to see it all. So that's the only kind of advantage I think you have. Am I correct? Am I missing anything, Ken, from that?
No, it's again gets to that, if you're a perfectionist and you want to cover all the bases, I think one of the things is, I always tell it to public speaking students, own the space. Go to wherever you're speaking early, get in there, feel comfortable in it. And here you're going to get a sense of what is the camera going to be like, what are the lights going to be like, how much room, what's it going to be like to sit there. You get to play with the different drug references. I just think it cuts out one more unknown factor.
All right. And Ken, somebody's asking, one of those Murphy laws situations occur, do we continue counseling unless it's an emergency, or will we get to start over?
All right. So if there's a fire alarm, get out of Dodge right away. No problem. Same with an earthquake. If there's a problem, say, for example, like halfway through, they realize they never started the record mode, I would stop, just say, look, no, I don't want to continue at this point. I want to start over. I would probably ask the patient to go out and find me. I just want to hear about it so I'm aware of the situation. I'll probably talk to you for a minute just to chill you out and get you back in the mode that you're ready to do the counseling. And then when you're ready to begin, I'll stand behind the curtain and make sure he presses the record button. So I don't have a total like hard and fast list, but to me I want you to walk out of the room saying, I had the best chance possible to do what I am capable of doing. So it wasn't that, the patient tripped and that caused a problem, or the lights exploded and that caused a problem. I want things to go smoothly so you can be who you are, as effective as you are. Is that clear enough?
I think so. So next we have, for the final round and the final list, given a new top 10 drug list. No, the same top 10 drug list is used for the prelim round as well as the final round. So you will not have to worry about studying a whole new drug list for the final round. Next question from Christy Smith is, do we have to do a medication reconciliation at the beginning of the counseling session? Ken, I'll turn that to you.
I would tend to say no. You start at the very top by talking to the person, identifying yourself. I'm going to go right down the list. Identifying yourself, identifying the patient, going over the profile, explaining the purpose of it. That is what the judges are going to be listening for. That's going to be your goal for the beginning of the session. And you don't have to check if they have insurance coverage or not.
All right. So Nicholas asks, when will the second round occur? The second round will occur on Sunday, and it goes, so whoever makes the top 10 list, that makes the top 10 finalists will be listed alphabetical, and the first appointment recording will start at 9 a.m. and it goes every 20 minutes from 9 to 12. So according to where your name falls, if you make it to the top 10, it will be when you're competing on Sunday. When will it take place? And on order. All right, so it says from Yatin, when will the final round take place on Sunday? And for the top 10 finalists, on order, in order to book enough days for the hotel.
Yeah.
So we're asking that you, if you are a participant, we're asking that you should stay to the meeting till Sunday night for the award celebration. That is when we end everything for the meeting for APhA ASP. We're asking that every attendee stay till then, just because you don't stick to the top 10, you are required to be at the award celebration, because that's when the winner, first runner-up and second runner-up, is announced. We like to put all top 10 on stage, and then we will announce the winners right then and there live at the award celebration. So we're asking that you stay through to Sunday night after the award celebration at 10 o'clock. So if you have major, hotel reservations and so forth, or flights, that's why we say book your appointment and then book your flight. But we do ask that everybody stay through Sunday, especially definitely the top 10 if you make it through Sunday night, because that is when, if you're the winner, we want you there. You're required to be there to get pictures. We take pictures. CBS is going to be there. It's a big deal. And you don't get your money right then and there, but you will get like your class and stuff like that. So definitely, it's a big deal to be in the top 10, and definitely we want you at that award celebration.
I'll say from past experience, I know some students who made it to the top 10 put a little bit of squeeze on their dean to help them out, sometimes to pay for an extra night. And somehow deans seem to have, because of the notoriety, they want their student to be there. They sometimes are able to come up with some extra money. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
You are representing your chapter. It is not required that the chapter helps you out or that your school helps you out, but you are representing your school in the NRBL. And if you're the winner of for your school, that is a big deal. So definitely keep that in mind. And if you, if it's money or anything like that, talk to your chapter, talk to your advisor, talk to your dean, talk to your school, and let them know so we can figure out what to do, because maybe you can share a room with somebody or something like that. So definitely keep that in mind. Our next, does everyone educate on the same medications? So everybody gets the same top 10 drug list. I don't know, Brittany, do well if I answered your question, but I'm going to actually unmute you so you can kind of answer your question a little bit more, because I'm not getting your question. So you are unmuted, Brittany, so you can ask your question.
Does everyone counsel on the same medication?
It'll be one of the medications. I'll just say it's one of the medications off the list. And that's why in advance you need to know all those 10 drugs.
Okay.
And if you watch the final round video, everybody gets the same drug in the final round, because you can see that from the video. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Somebody else had their hand raised for a while, so I'm going to unmute Mary Kimmel so she can ask her question. Hi, Mary.
My question was just about the drug list.
Okay. So you'll get it next week. I promise.
You already answered that earlier. Thank you.
No problem. All right. And we have a couple of more. So is the on-site orientation on Thursday night exactly the same? Any differences? I explained that already.
I'm going to tell the same jokes, so there won't be anything new from my standpoint.
So here we go with a question from Dennis Lee. Will we need to be concerned with pregnant breastfeeding patients?
I'm prepared to deal with any patient. I just have to say that. It's in a pharmacy practice, patients are going to come in, and you should be prepared to be able to deal with anybody.
All right. Next from Sarah Norman, what drug databases are allowed? Is this print or online? So we will have the drug lists there, and it will be the drug factor comparison, and it will be the iPad with Lexi drugs on it. So it's not Lexi Complete, but Lexi Drugs, which is the Drug Information Handbook. Those are the references we will have on site at the meeting in each filming room. Is the orientation and attendance required? No, but it is recommended if you didn't attend this, and since you're attending this, you should be okay. The only difference is seeing the filming room. if we get someone who is picking up for a friend, family member, is it safe to assume that the person is on the list of people who can pick up patients' prescriptions?
Yes. We do not construct any scenario where you would say, I cannot release this or dispense this medication. I must call the physician before dispensing. That would really present, an untenable scenario in the competition. So just assume that, once you identify if it's the patient or a patient's representative, that this drug can be released to them.
Great. So, and just to clarify, there is no more Friday night orientation. Since we do this online webinar / orientation, we took away the Friday night orientation. So it's just going to be filming on Friday, and then we go into filming on Saturday. But there's no orientation on Friday night anymore. And what time was the final? So how many people are competing this year? Right now, I have 122. I'm still waiting on 13 schools. The total number, if we get everybody, would be 137. And that also includes 2 new schools that get an opportunity to compete. So if they do, then it'll be 137 with them. Our next, what time is the final top 10 competing on Sunday for those who may have flights out on Sunday? Between the 9 and 12, and if you make it to the top 10, I would suggest that hopefully you're on Southwest, you can change your flight easily, but this would be something that I would definitely suggest that you do if you make it to the top 10, to leave later Sunday night if you can. And last, another question, are the top 10 drugs the same for both rounds? Yes, they are. What time is the orientation on Thursday night? It's from 6 to 8 p.m. And I believe it will be confirmed in your stuff that you receive, but I believe it's Plaza 25, but I may be wrong. So just go by what I put in the actual, because I'm going up. If we qualify for the final round but cannot make it due to flight issues, are we disqualified? You won't be disqualified, but we just want you to try to do your best to be there. I don't know how to explain it. We just really, it doesn't look right. It's not good for our supporters to see if we only have 9 people, and then if you're winning not there, none of the photos or anything for that moment of you being there. So just keep that in mind if you make it to the top 10. So basically, if you make it to the top 10, we require you to stay until the for the award celebration. Same questions. If we are included in the top 10, will we be permitted to bring a guest to the award ceremony? The award celebration is open to anybody.
Yep.
If it's like your mother who lives in California and you want her to come because you made it to the top 10, that's fine. That's the last thing that we're kind of doing at the convention center. But I would suggest that you walk in with your mom or your family if you make it to the top 10 and get them in. It is required that everybody has a badge to get in, but we understand, it's an exciting time, especially if they're in California with you in San Francisco and you want them there.
Oh, could I just say one thing on that? It doesn't happen a lot, but some people want to bring their friends into the filming room. You cannot do that. While you're right after your session is over. Take pictures outside the filming room, but not in the filming room.
We do have some personal questions that people are asking. I will answer those. I'm trying to type in answers like to Nicholas. And Nicholas, we can talk offline. You can give me a call, and we can see what we can do about, since you already had your flight booked. We can definitely talk about that. And we got, it looks like one last question. Just to clarify Brittany's question, during the first round we are picking or drug at random out of the basket, but for the final round, the participants will be counseling on the same drug. Yeah, and you're still picking it out of the basket, still the same process. And we make it easier for the same drug in the final round because everybody sees that it's the same drug for the final round. So that means if the person at 9 o'clock comes out and you say, hey, what drug are we studying for? As a top 10 finalist, you're not going to tell him because you know he's getting the same drug. So you don't give anybody, it's still a competition and you're still trying to win. So just remember that. Is it possible to switch time if other spots become open for the initial round? Those Saturdays is gone. It's the best I can tell you. If you want to switch from a Friday to Saturday, it's kind of impossible right now because those go first and it's first come, first serve. And nobody really switches from a Saturday to a Friday. So you can definitely send me an email. Let me know what you're looking for, Lydia, and I can see what I can do. Can you please clarify what you mean by the rule only show the drug product? For example, I would think if it's an inhaler, I have to open the box and show how to use it without dispensing it. Yes, you do simulate it.
You cannot tell the patient to do one puff before they leave. I'll just say it. One of the worst was a vaginal suppository, and the pharmacist got into demonstrating it, and the cameraman asked, should I film this? No. You can take it out. You can show the product. You can put it together, but we don't want the patient to actually have to be exposed to any of the drug products during the counseling.
All right. We have somebody else that raised their hand. So Maria Wilkins, I'm going to unmute you so you can ask your question.
Okay, I'm the one who actually asked the last question about the drug product. So if it was an inhaler, could we ask the patient to demonstrate how they would use it without like dispensing the dose, like just to show generally without actually pressing a button?
Yes, exactly. That would be the way I would handle it, but not to actually administer the first dose before they leave the pharmacy.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you can definitely simulate it. Okay, Maria? All right, so it looks like we've answered all the questions. I don't see anybody else's hand raised. We truly appreciate you all being on this webinar. We know we went a little over, and usually for questions and answers that happens. But we are definitely looking forward to seeing you all in San Francisco. And if you do have any questions, feel free to send me an email, and I will definitely I'm sending out all the materials next week, so definitely when you get that, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Thank you all, and you all have a great night. Thanks, Ken.
All righty. Good night, everybody.